Who's ready to get some sales training, make some more money, be better at sales? I think every single person listening to Rooted in Retail needs this information because even if we're crushing it with our sales, there's always things that we can be learning or give back to our team. And we don't talk about sales too often, like a very specific sales topic on Rooted in Retail. So I'm so thrilled and excited for today's episode and for today's guest, Jason Mausser, we're talking all things sales. He has wrote a great book called Don't Shut the F Up. And he's got some really great questions in here that we talk about in today's episode. And you know me, I talk about journaling and asking, like pausing and taking time to ask ourselves questions in our business because we often don't do that. This is another one of those episodes. You're going to want to ask yourself some of these questions and really understand the opportunities for you. There's really great tactical ideas and advice in today's episode. So I think you're going to really enjoy it. Before we dive in, here's a little bit more about my guest. Jason Mausser is a lifelong salesman with over 35 years of diverse sales experience. His client list includes Toyota Motors, Los Angeles Dodgers, Disney Corp, Warner Brothers, Museum of Contemporary Art, to name just a few. He started Mausser Consulting, Inc. over 18 years ago and has been helping his vast array of diverse clients create and source unique products ever since. In his newly published book, Don't Shut the F Up, Transforming Your Selling Mindset, he has taken his unique methods that he's learned through his experience and teaches you to transform your selling mindset and begin to create relationships instantly and get you hired by the prospects you are trying to sell to. This transformative approach not only makes selling easier, but also has a profound impact on your personal and professional relationships. Let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to Rooted in Retail. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis. Here we have engaging and informative conversations with successful indie retailers and industry experts. Together, we learn, connect, and grow. All right, here's today's episode. Jason, welcome to Rooted in Retail. I am thrilled you're here.
Hey, Crystal. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're going to have a very important conversation today about selling and sales, which every single retailer needs this information. And we're going to be talking about some of the questions that you ask in your book. Don't shut the F up. We do cuss here sometimes, but not too often. But this book is so good. If you're watching this, I'm showing the book in the screen. We're going to talk a little bit more about this and go through some of these questions. But you sent this to me and we had a pre-call and I'm like, my retailers are going to love learning from you. These are really smart questions. And who doesn't want to sell more? If you don't want to sell more, turn off this podcast because we're going to help you sell more. But before we dive in, Jason, will you just take a couple minutes and tell us about you and your experience?
Yes, of course. Usually I wouldn't even talk about, my beginnings, but they are retail oriented. So why not? I started my company over 18 years ago, and this was way before. But I actually ran a gallery on Rodeo Drive called Art Briant. And so that was my first big retail position. And it was really interesting. And you learn a lot. The art world, selling art is very, very difficult. Probably one of the most difficult things to sell. So it was probably the beginning of me learning these processes that are in the book and really trying to figure out, okay, this is hard and I need to figure out how to make it happen. And then I actually had a website called the fineartcollection.com, and I actually had over $200 million of art. So I was one of the first biggest bids on eBay. I had an $8 million bid on eBay in the first 6 months that eBay existed, and it was for a Van Gogh.
Oh.
Unfortunately, they wanted 10 million, so it didn't sell. But I then had some really early retail experience in the most, incredible way because I was dealing with some of the richest people in the world, which is, again, extremely difficult. From there, I actually started my sourcing company. So it's basically, it's a retail and wholesale sourcing company. I create products for retail. In that sense, I'm actually dealing with retail every day in helping people create products. I definitely have a lot of that experience and respect because getting my products, when I help people, I say, look, I can make any product, that you can think of. And that's really fun and exciting. And I can help them source any product. But retail, basically, for them to get, put it in the stores and sell it, I'm like, that's a whole nother game. And, you need to be ready for that part. So don't use me until you're ready for distribution. In that way, I've learned a lot through trying to help these people, get their products sold. And then I go to shows and do that. So that's why I am excited to be helping people learn how to sell in retail as well. And my book will totally do that. Every single salesperson and every single owner of a retail establishment, online or, brick and mortar, will learn from my book and find some confidence and a new mindset.
They so well. And some of these questions I like because they're not things we're thinking about. I'm just really excited for retailers to do this work because I can see how it can be transformative. And before we hit record, you were saying how the audiobook is going to be live in 10 days.
Yes.
By the time that this is published, audiobook's going to be out too. And you said it's only an hour long. So
Yeah.
it's
So
like,
no reading necessary.
exactly.
For all
Pop
the
that
all
in,
those, commuters and people.
Yes.
It's literally just 15 questions and answers. The questions seem super normal questions that you'd be like, oh, how am I going to learn from this? But it's the answers that really teach you um, new techniques. And even if you are adept at sales, it'll literally help you realize why things are working. You'll be like, oh, I do that. Oh, but sometimes I don't do that. And I'm like, I need to do that every time. And so it's going to do both. It's going to help you realize what you're doing that's working and give you more techniques, how to create new relationships. You're not going to be treated like a salesman. That's the best part. No one, I don't care who you are, no one likes to be treated like a salesman. And
No,
this book teaches you to not be. So that's the best part.
exactly. I love it. And we're going to dissect a couple of these questions in today's episode. But before we do, let's help our retailers sell more. This is the name of the game here today.
Great.
So, what are some unique ways retailers can look at sales and help them get confident about selling more?
Right. I'll use one of my questions is, who's in charge? And you're always like, the customer's in charge, the manager's in charge, the owner's in charge. It's like, no, you are in charge. And a lot of these other questions too is about getting confidence in realizing that you are in charge. I don't care what you sell. We can fill in the blanks. It could be makeup. It could be, clothing. It could be, consulting services. It could be anything. It's all the same. You need to start thinking, wait, I can just tell this person to F off, right? Not like you would ever do that, but knowing that you can kind of changes your perspective. You're like, wait, I know the most about what I'm selling, right? This
Mhm.
person is there. They may be a great source for you to sell, but it's not all about them. It's about you having confidence in what you're offering. And then from there, like you basically build from that confidence and take control of the sales situation. And you want to be transformative. And it doesn't matter
Mhm.
again, your makeup, it's how it's going to take someone from one place to another place. And that is one of the most important things that people can do is look at their product, figure out how they can communicate how it's going to take someone and take them on a journey to a better place.
Yeah, and solve those problems, right? I
Right.
mean, something
Hmm.
we talk about with your social media content is that you want to have there's a problem and you've got the solution.
Yeah.
So when we press on that pain, that helps people, as they're scrolling to identify, "Oh, I experienced that." Like
Right.
they stop to scroll, they listen. So it
Right.
sounds like you like that kind of pain that's the transformation, right? How we can
Right.
solve it.
It's one of them. It can
Yeah,
be
right.
solving a problem and you want to develop a product or a service that solves a problem. But you also want to communicate that it might not be enough sometimes to solve someone's problem. You have to say, oh, well, you have this problem, but not only am I going to fix this problem and I've done it for other people, but I'm going to take you from here and solve this problem and take you to there. And I know it sounds similar, but it's more dynamic. You're like,
Right.
oh, ow. It's like, oh, I could put something on that. I need stitches and I can stitch it, but it's also like, okay, what am I going to do after the stitches? Well, I'm also going to give you scar so that it doesn't scar. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to take you through the whole process. It's not just, you know, putting in stitches.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really focusing on the transformation, on how you're where you're taking them, and then remembering that you're in charge, which
Yep.
is so good.
That's
Yep.
right.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so question number 2 in the book, I really liked this one.
Okay.
Does your company actually want this customer? And one of the reasons I like this so much is I was speaking at an event and somebody asked a question and she's like, "Well, my customer would never go for that," and was just really pushing things back. And I'm like, "I want us to back up for a second." And I'm like, is this really the customer that you want to be working with? Because you sound like you don't. Like it sounds like this is not a person. I've also heard from our retailers, a lot of them, they don't want the sales shopper, the coupon cutters, those types of customers. So when you had this in the book, for our retailers to really stop and think about, do you want these customers? Will you dissect that a little bit more for us?
Yeah, for sure. It's so funny because when I designed this, it was probably 15 years ago, believe it or not, or 10 to 15 years ago. I had 21 questions and I chopped it down to 15 and I kept a couple of these because a lot of the other questions were company oriented. So meaning, it's something that the company would love to hear. And as a company, what they should be doing. And this was one of those. And I didn't think how that it was very exciting, this question. Some of the other ones are a little more like, oh, open your brain and make you really realize and I think really help you. It's so funny, but a lot of people like this question. And it is really important because it'll keep you in business, right? I mean,
Yeah,
my other questions are going to teach you to sell more and have confidence and be happy, in sales. But this could put you out of business. So there's so many layers to this. One is, acquisition cost, right? So everybody needs to know that. And especially in retail, it's like the Bible, right? You have to
right.
figure out how much are these customers costing you. And if they're costing you too much, then they're not worth it. So that's an easy one. The other one is reputation, right? You need to figure out who you want to be and who you want to sell to. And that's even with social media. Obviously, I'm having to delve into more social media and in that world. And it's from Instagram to TikTok. And it's like, TikTok's an amazing tool, but you have to figure out, do you really want to be on TikTok? You get a lot of views. Is that too many views? And coming from my website, it's like there was a thing with art where if you offered it to too many people, they called it burning. So you
Mm,
burned an art piece because a lot of the people that want that art piece don't want everyone to be able to buy it. They want to feel
right.
that it's special. So this is the kind of thing where you need to really realize, is social media is great and you have to do it, but how are you doing it? What demographic are you going after? Don't be going after a certain one. Don't burn your product. Don't throw it out there so it looks like it's junk. You got to make sure you're doing all of those things. So it is a really important question. It's not as, fun and glamorous as my other questions, but it is extremely important. So I'm glad I left it in there.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too. And I think sometimes the not fun and glamorous stuff is like the foundational, the things that we
Right.
do often gloss over, but we really need them for success, like you said. And I just think if retailers really thought about that customer, where, if they really do want that customer, I like how you're saying, do you really want that platform? Because where are the customers? Once you identify who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with, then it's easier to understand where you need to be and how to reach those people. I think we can get stuck in just doing what we've always done because that's easy. And you might be like, I don't know if these are the right people for me to serve anymore. There might be a whole nother audience group that you're totally missing. So I think it's a fabulous question. It's definitely one of my faves.
All right.
Evolve 2025 tickets are now available. We just wrapped an incredible conference. Conference attendees were saying this was the best conference they've ever been to. Evolve is made exclusively for independent retailers. So if you are a retailer and you want to evolve, you want to grow your business, lock in your ticket for next year now because it's the cheapest it will ever be. You could get tickets starting for as low as $297. This is the time to secure your ticket. They will never be this cheap. So get your ticket now at crystalmediaco.com/evolve. And I can't wait to see you next year. Okay. Okay. Now, I wanted to also talk about number 9. Do they trust you? And, I think this is something that people are like, yeah, they trust me. But like, if we really stop and we really think about it, we all know customers need to know us, like us, trust us in order to buy. And so I would love to just hear from you, you know, our current customers, people that already know us, or the consumer that they haven't shopped with us yet. How are we gaining that trust from the consumers and customers?
The real thing is they don't have to trust you because it's very difficult. And again, I'm trying to just be across the board. I don't know what you're selling or who you are. And obviously some industries they're definitely going to need to. My entire book, basically, if you do the concepts in my book, or you at least get that mindset, you get the trust comes. But you have to realize that it's okay if there's past experiences, they just may not trust your product at all, right? And you have to transcend it. It doesn't mean you can't sell them, but it is obviously the best way to get sales is to get them to trust you. The best way to do that is, one, you need to talk about who else you've helped, right? That's a very important thing. And it's not by telling them who. So that's the important part that I do. I said, have you told them who else you've helped? You use the past people or companies as examples. You don't ever list them. You never say, in my book, I obviously listed who I worked with because it's a book, but otherwise I would never do that. I would say, you know what? Your product is very similar to one I just did with Disney, and they're doing, 20,000, napkins a day. And this was the issue. And I had to get them from India and it's always as an example, right? And people are followers. And if Disney trusted me, they're going to trust me, right? That's one of the ways. There's lots of ways to get that trust without being like, you can trust me, right? That's the last thing you can say. You also, you basically want to be, confident in all the other, basically what you're doing for them. So they'll trust that confidence that you are going to help them creates trust. So that's, again, some of these processes that the more they're the right customer for you, right? You know that you're going to help them. Your product is a perfect product for them, or, you're the perfect consultant. All of that becomes a mutual trust, right? And your confidence in knowing you're going to help them, they'll feel that and they're going to trust that too.
For sure. I couldn't agree more. And I love the idea. I mean, we know from a retail perspective and any kind of business perspective, reviews are so important. Like we really want to get those reviews.
They're so hard to get.
They're so hard to get. Yes, but so important.
I know.
I'm going to butcher this a little bit. There's a recent stat I read about how we'll drive 20 minutes further for a higher star, for 4 or 5 star, versus if there's something in our town that's under 4. So, we really want to get those reviews, but it's similar to, it makes me think of your advice on tell them that example, show them what you've helped people, because the reviews do that on their own. So we want to be focusing on those reviews, but then those examples and that storytelling really lands the plane.
Oh, that's great. I want to put that in the book because it is true. I didn't even realize it, but when you say that, it's basically when you're using your past clients, or customers as examples, you're giving yourself a review. basically,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
love that. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm definitely it simplifies it. It's so true. And it's not, and a review isn't a list, right? It's like people that list to their client list, it really doesn't, it falls flat. It'll never
Yeah.
get you business. It's always examples. If I had to give anybody advice on, I know even on a website, it'd be hard to do, but it's not impossible. You just say, this is what we did for Disney. This is what we did for Cedar Sinai or whatever it is, or this is what we did for Dr. So and so, or it'll definitely, it's like your own reviews, right? It's
Yeah.
that's great. I like that.
Exactly. And I really like that. Like you're saying, you're not just putting the logo or you're not just saying the name. You can have it on there. And especially if it is a brand people recognize, because it builds
Right.
that credibility, but you're focusing on how you helped them
Right.
and that transformation, like we were
There
talking
you
about earlier.
go.
Yeah.
See? Good.
So good. Love it. Okay. Jason, I have to know, do you have a favorite question of your 15?
Gosh, the most it's like I'm torn because they kind of all go together.
Yeah.
I used to really like the who's in charge. I thought that was, and I start with that one before I did the other questions where they're more like, do you want this customer? And then it goes, can your customer actually buy your product or service? Again, something really important, but not so fun. But I really like, I mean, did they hire you is really what it all comes down to. So I used to be like, who's in charge? I knew that was really out of the box because you're like, oh, you'll never answer you're in charge, right? Unless you kind of already
Right.
know that it's going to be something different. That was used to be my favorite, but really it is the whole book teaches you how to get hired by the customer. And it is so powerful. So, in my day to day, it's like, I'm trying to get clients and I meet with them and I've gotten good at these principles and in this mindset. And when I get hired, there is no more competition. So
Right.
that's where it really comes down to, and it can take 5-10 minutes and it could be a process that's going to take, I have clients that's going to take a year, but they
Mm,
have hired me in the first 10 minutes. And
mm,
now, if there's other people that are doing what I'm doing, they don't even exist anymore. They just become me and my customer looking at the other options that they have and figuring out the best way to go forward. So
mm.
it's my favorite because it sums up everything that is a sale without being a salesman,
Totally.
without being a salesman.
Exactly. You know what I really like about the word hire and that you used that word versus did they buy from you
Right.
is because hire feels long term. It feel like
Hmm.
you just said there's no competition. They chose me and it's about the relationship. And so I just love the choice of words there. That was well done.
Yes, thank you. And
Yeah.
it is
Okay.
so true. It doesn't matter what you sell. And even if you have 50 competitors and you're in a really niche, tough market, if you do these things, they hire you, the pressure's off. If the pressure's off for them too.
Yep.
They want
Exactly.
someone to help them through this. They don't want to be dealing with 5 competitors or 10 competitors. They just want
No.
someone to help them. And they talk about being consultant, but we talk about, oh, everyone will say that, right? So I'm following all these gurus that are out there. And you would think that they say some similar things, but they really don't when it comes down to it. It's like, oh, be a consultant. But see, what I'm teaching you is be a consultant for them, not for
Mhm,
your company. If you're being a
mhm.
consultant for your company or even yourself, and you're not separating yourself, then it doesn't matter. You're still a salesman, right? You need to
Yeah.
be a consultant for them, and you need to get them to hire you to be their representative to your company that you work for, or even for yourself. So,
Right.
that's an
Exactly.
important, twist.
It is, and then it creates that loyalty. It's so good. Okay, what kind of issues are you seeing when it comes to sales and our independent retailers, and what advice do you have for them to overcome these timely challenges, if we focus on issues that are happening now, what are you seeing?
You have to find a way to be special. You know, it's so tough out there, and retail is one of the toughest. And obviously, there's people that are super successful at it. There's brands that become, huge, and they have no competitor. And the reason that is they become special, right? They
Right.
communicate better. So you need to communicate better with your customers. You need to get hired by your customers. You have to tell them who you've helped, and you have to find, like, one of the questions is, what does your product do better? Sounds, of course, everybody that has any product has thought about it, but it's really looking at it and going, how am I special? Right?
Hmm.
Or how can I become special? Because you're
Exactly.
not going to make it in this environment if you're not special, and you're not communicating, and you're not showing people who you've helped, and you're not being transformative, where your product is taking someone from something, somewhere to somewhere, right? Somewhere they don't want to
Exactly.
be to somewhere where they want to be, or who they want to be, and
Yeah,
or what they want to be about. It can be too. It could be
totally.
what you're going to now show the world that, that they're a part of. So,
Yeah. It's true. Well, I think you're so spot on because there are just so many choices. And how are you special? What are going to make people pick your store and pick your products? And then once you've identified that, how are you communicating it? Making
right,
sure that it is on the website and, your team all says the same thing and you're putting it on social, like you're really doubling down and being consistent. But the first step is really figuring out what makes us special. And I so agree. I think that is such a way that retailers can compete today. And we can get so caught up in just in doing, and I get it. Our retailers are so busy, some of the busiest people I've ever met.
right.
But if we can kind of slow down and really identify that thing and make sure we're properly communicating it, it's a game changer.
It is. It really is. And it's all about click through right now, and you get sucked into that, and it is super important. I'm not saying that these other things aren't, it's like, okay, you got this person to go to your site. Your site better make it easy, right? Your site
Yes.
make it better easy to purchase, easy to purchase. But as they're there, you better also not forget that you got to be a reason for them to click, right? And
Yeah.
so you got to find that, okay, I'm going to make it easy for them, but I better be communicating about how amazing and special my product is. So you'll get
Yeah.
that click, right? Don't forget it and just have a purchase button, right? Because
Exactly.
it's not going to work in the long run. You may get some cheap clicks and some sales, but you're not going to transform your company. You're not going to be one of these companies that is special.
Right. Absolutely. It's so true. The questions, these tips are so actionable, which I love. Jason, are you ready for the resilience round?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Best business book.
Uh,
I knew it.
I don't even
Yes.
like business books. I wrote one, but mine is not. Mine, you can listen to it an hour, you can read it an hour, and I guarantee it will change you for a life.
Yes, I love it. And for those of you who are listening, Jason threw his book up on the screen so you could see, yes, his favorite book, Don't Shut
Yes,
the F Up. That's the
that's
one.
right.
So good. Best retail technology like an app or software.
Right now, with all I say about being special, Video Leap. I don't know if you know of it. It's an app. It's on your phone, and you do have to purchase it, but it wasn't too bad. You could add photos and videos, and it creates these amazing videos. So for social
Ooh,
media, it's really cool. And there's like fashion, there's travel, and there's all these different templates, and you can use a fashion one for travel or whatever. And it
great.
does all the editing for you. And it's pretty
Oh,
cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you said that's Video Leap?
Video Leap. Yeah. There's also, I think, Photo Leap, but you can put photos in it anyway. So I'd go with the video.
Okay, that's a good one. How do you keep up with the ever-changing retail landscape?
I sell to retail now. So that's lucky for me because I know how tough it is out there. I'm always trying to help people with new products. So creating new products is always, you got to be ever changing. You have to become special. You got to upgrade your products so that they are special, or change them. So when you have that, coming to Jesus moment. You're like, okay, how am I going to be special? How am I special? It's going to come down to your product. So, be better about your products, make sure that they're quality, or you're not going to be special. Also, I suggest masterclass. The
Mhm.
subscriptions really, I think it's only, $100 a year, and you can listen to the most amazing people on the planet. And there is a lot of retail people there. And so I suggest that for sure.
Very cool. I want to double tap on Masterclass too, because I am a subscriber to that. And there's just some really incredible educational resources on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
forget college.
I know. Exactly. Yeah. Especially at that price.
That's right.
Um, yeah. To help retailers be stronger, more rooted in success, what's a sales foundational best practice?
So I would focus on, not trying to do too much. So you got to simplify too. You can't be everything to everybody. So,
Mhm.
you got to be special, like we've said. You got to really try to be transformative, again, repeating, but these are really important concepts, and try not to be everything to everybody.
Good one. If you had to start your business all over again, what's one thing you'd do differently?
I've always had my hand in so many things, as you can see. And I probably I would have done my sourcing business sooner, even though I know it's been
Mm,
18 years, but I would have focused more on it. I did a lot of promotional, I did a lot of things. I really would have got into the think tank product development. It's what I really enjoy. I would have loved to have started that right from the
mm,
beginning. And it's just so rewarding to create new products for people and for myself. It's really fun.
yeah. Oh, that's very cool. That's awesome. Finally, what do you think the future of independent retail looks like?
I think for the people that make themselves a top brand, there's going to be brick and mortar out there. I still think that if you are a quality retailer in clothing, you have to have brick and mortar. I don't love any of the solutions of this whole like ordering 3 pairs of pants and sending them back.
Mm,
And I'm sorry, that's not sustainable. It's not. It's not. Brick and mortar is not going away for all you retailers out there. You just have to make
right.
sure that your brand is high quality and people want to go there. They want to touch and feel it, and you're going to be fine. I think there's going to be virtual stores. I think the virtual reality thing is really clunky right now, but with AI and things like that, it's going to get there. I'm wearing these glasses are actually Ray-Bans. There's AI in my glasses. So like I can
Oh,
ask it a question, like literally like,
no.
yeah, hey Meta. And I'd say, what was the sales in New York City for autos last year? And she'll literally look it up and tell in my ear. So it's
And she'll just
coming.
speak it. Wow.
Yeah. So she's answering right now. So, and the music is so amazing. So there's music and it's not in your ear. So
Wow.
yeah. And sorry, she's talking to me right now.
So, yeah. No, I'm like
Yeah, they're
amazed
pretty
by this.
amazing. No one was buying them, but when I show them to them, people are like, "Oh my gosh!" And it's video, so I just took your photo and video. So they're pretty neat. They're really great for content creation, right? So for my business, I have some things where I create videos and I don't have to be in them, right? So I can be creating content and talking and not be in them. So they're really great. They're a good tool
Wow.
for people out
No kidding. Wow. That I so agree with you. Like AI is coming, virtual reality is clunky right now, but I do think it's coming. Brick and mortar is here. You touched on such great points. Jason, this was such a greght conversation. How can people connect with you and learn more?
Okay, great. Well, my book is on Amazon. So it's Don't Shut the F Up with money sign CK. So it's F money sign CK. If you Google it, it'll take you to Amazon. It's actually better to search it for Google. It'll take you right to the Amazon store. On the Amazon store, just make sure you push book
Okay.
because it's just the way it searches. And then the Audible will be out soon. You can always find it's actually Don't Shut the F Up without anything. So it's FCK up, and I'm sure you'll be links in there. So on Instagram and TikTok and all of those, I'm going to be going over the book and posting those little bits of each chapter, and you can follow me there. And I'm doing some corporate sales. So sales conferences. So basically more one-on-one. I can do it over Zoom, or I can actually go to your offices and I can meet with your sales team and go over these concepts. Obviously, they can read it in an hour, but I can help them literally use their clients, your situation, and have them utilize these techniques. And they will thank you, because they will not be treated as salespeople. They will be treated as consultants for the customer. They will get hired by the customer. Your sales will go up, and you'll have happier salespeople.
For sure. It's just so important. We've got to invest in sales for ourselves, for our teams. And yes, we will link to everything as well. Jason, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, remember that I'm rooting for your success. Have a great weekend. Bye.
See you, Crystal.
I have a cool and quick story to share with you. So my local favorite boutique, Pilar, the owner, Anna, who I've had on the show before, her husband, Ben, created this app to help her with inventory counting and reconciling. She's been using it for years. She absolutely loves it. Doesn't know how she did the store without it. So they were like, well, you should put this on the Shopify app platform. And so he did. And it got approved last year. And over 100 retailers are now using it and loving it. And now you can too. This is a free app. You can use it forever free, or you can pay to upgrade and get additional features. You don't have to do that, though. You could stay on free. The additional features for $35 a month include a cycle counting, metrics dashboard, data quality detection and remediation, staff task assignment, and multiple location support. Speaking of support, you actually get direct support from the app developers, Ben and Jason, whether it's phone, text, call, email, whatever is convenient for you. They are there for you. They just want you to succeed and feel less stress and hassle and just use this app. One thing you might be questioning, you don't have to pair and unpair your barcode scanner from your iPad. You can easily switch between Hatch and Shopify POS with no hassles. So to access this app for free, you could go to the Shopify app store and search for Hatch. Really pretty logo, like a teal, blue, purple, fades into. We'll also link to it here. Do yourself a favor, check this out. I've heard nothing but raving reviews. I know you're going to love it. And then share with me what you think about it. Pretty cool story, right? I love when those things work out. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. Don't forget to join the Rise and Shine newsletter, which is social media news you need to know, sent via email every Monday morning. Go to crystalmediaco.com/rise to join. And don't miss the newest episode of Rooted in Retail, which drops every Sunday morning.